let's enable the hazard to damage the player. I'm in my level template. I'm going to close my battery scene. Close that. And I want to go into hazards and open soaring platform scene. Open that. And I want to go into the script. So, we're going to have to change this script a little bit. We're going to need a Boolean to check when we are damaging the player, okay? So let's do that to start with. VAR damaging player. I will set it to false to start with. And let's set up a variable for how much damage we do the player when we are damaging the player. So I'm going to call it VAR player damage. And I'm going to set it just to 1. Remember, the game is running at 60 frames per second. So every frame we're in contact with the player detector, we're going to be dealt the damage of 1. That means we will pick up the damage of 60 in 1 second. So this number does need to be quite small. And if you want to go smaller, you can just make it a decimal fraction. Okay. Now, I'm going to change this function here from the process function, because that just keeps running and running as fast as it can. And we don't need to do that. We'll use the physics process because the physics engine handles collisions, and that's running at 60 frames per second in our game. So I'm changing that to the physics process. And then we'll just have an if clause here. If damaging player, colon. And what do we want to do? We want to go get. No, we don't. We'll do that in a second. First, we want to go global dot energy, like we've done before, minus equals player damage. And then we want to do get tree, parentheses, remember, dot call group. We've done this before. GUI. And for the second argument, update energy. So if we enter the player detector, we want to set damaging player to true. And when we leave the player detector, we want to set damaging player to false. So let's save that and see if it works. Yeah, look at that. Step onto the hazard, lose a load of life. Now, you'll notice I've lost all my life and I haven't died. Let's take care of that now. So I am back in my GUI scene and I have the script view. And I'm in my update energy function. So that's fine. When our energy changes, we call update energy and our scoreboard reads the energy from the global variable and displays it. What if the energy is less than or equal to 0? We need to tell the player to die. In order to tell the player to die, we need to add the player to a group if we haven't done so already. So we go into the player scene, make sure the parent node of the player is selected, player, go into, I'm already in groups, so I just go player and click add. Now I can contact the player from anywhere else in the game. Have I accidentally closed down the GUI scene? So open it up. So we want an if statement here. So we go if global.energy is less than or equal to 0, get tree dot call group first argument is the group, so that's player. Second argument is the function we need to run, which you haven't written yet, but I'm just going to call it die. Okay, great. Save that into the player, and let's write this function die. So right at the edge of our indentation, so along with that, we'll go func die, parentheses and a colon. And what do I want to do? First thing I want to do is remove myself from the scene, but I want to do a bunch of other stuff first. What I'm actually going to do is just reload the game when I die. In future, we will put an animation in because the player does have a death animation, but I'm just going to reload the game. In order to do that, I've got to set my globals back to their initial values, or whatever I want them to be. Global.enemies destroyed goes back to 0. And global, this is the problem with global variables. You can literally mess with them from anywhere in the game. And if you lose track on what's happening, you can easily get bugs. This is why they're to be avoided. But never mind, we have a good use for these variables, so we'll carry on. Global.energy, and I'll reset that back to 70. Remember, if we're dying, it means our energy is 0. So we've got to set everything back to restart the game. All right. Now I just need to reload the current scene. So I say get tree parentheses dot reload current scene. Save it. Okay, let's give it a test. Lose all my life, reload the current scene, and the game works fine. Got some life. Okay, in the next section, we will work on enabling the crab to damage the player and to update both the scoreboard here and the progress bar or the life bar here. I hope to see you in the next section.